We've got quite the show coming up for you this week on the City County Observer. I'm Johnny Kincaid, and this is going to be good because we're going to be talking here about, we're going to talk about Micah Beckwith and a council that he's putting together, but also how that has been twisted around to make it sound like something dangerous and nefarious. And we'll talk about how all of that is shaking out for you in just a couple of minutes. And also we're going to be talking to Lori DeVillez, who is with the Trotter House in Evansville. You'll learn about this great organization and what they do. It's all coming up on this week. Want to start, though, with a big thank you to all the people who showed up for the big prayer vigil for the Red family. We were blown away by the response. Over 100 people came out, and we didn't have candles. We used the lights on our cell phone, and we spent some time praying for Matthew Red. Matthew was the passenger with Clinton Keon in the accident that took Clinton's life, and Matthew has suffered very, very serious injuries and has been in the intensive care unit ever since the accident over a week ago. So we got people in the community together and spent some time in prayer. And I got to tell you, his wife, Andrea, came down and spent some time at the vigil along with his brother, Jeremy. And Andrea talked about seeing miracles take place. You know, when he had things like being able to open his left eye or move his leg. She referred to those things as miracles because there was a point where they didn't think that any of those things were going to be possible. And it's your prayers that make a difference there. And she said after the prayer vigil back in the room, Matthew gave a thumbs up. And so the family is very grateful to everybody who showed up. I'm grateful. Thank you very much for doing that. Now let's talk a little bit about politics here. And you pardon me for reading off my phone on this for the article, but Micah Beckwith is launched an advisory board, and according to the headlines, the board is focusing on Christianity. In that headline in itself is probably not exactly accurate, because what the deal is, Micah, who is the candidate for lieutenant governor, is putting together an advisory council of people who are experts on agriculture, on the legislature, and other issues that these experts will also have beliefs that align with Christian, constitutional, and conservative principles. Now, all of that seems pretty reasonable. If I were putting together a council of people, I would be picking people who have certain values to put on that council. The group is going to provide with some expert guidance and operational support in fulfilling the office of lieutenant governor and their constitutional duties. Beckwith said, and he emphasizes this is not a transition team. So we're going to get Mike on to talk about this, because what then happened after that story came out about that team being put together, the headline that was put on a press release from the Indiana Democratic Party says, Micah Beckwith creates board to force dangerous personal beliefs on Hoosiers. Dangerous personal beliefs. They're talking about Christianity. Christianity is a dangerous personal belief. At least that's what this press release would have you believe. They refer to Micah as the far-right lieutenant governor candidate, and that the board could be funded with state taxpayer dollars. Beckwith is elected, and likely leaves out Hoosier employers like Salesforce, Eli Lilly, Cummings, and others who credit diversity as a key factor in their success. How can they actually say that it's going to leave those businesses out? Nowhere has anything come out that says that that's going to be the case. And then they talk about some other things regarding Micah that they're just trying to damage his reputation, is what it really boils down to. And it says that Beckwith will only be appointing members to this board who share Beckwith's values and align with his specific beliefs, which is what I would be doing too. We're going to get Micah Beckwith on to talk about this, because this is just, it's the twist that everybody wants to do in politics these days. Instead of just coming out and talking about, here's what we're going to do, instead we have to make the other person dangerous. Stop it. See, this is why we have assassination attempts take place, because we make the other side seem dangerous. And like really, really bad things are going to happen if we elect so-and-so to office, whoever that might be. And according to the Indiana Democratic Party, Beckwith is building his own echo chamber of experts that will only encourage his efforts to ban books statewide, criminalize abortion, and push extreme policies on Hoosiers. And then they get to Mike Braun, where they say it's another example that Mike Braun can't control his running mate and will allow Beckwith to push a separate agenda for state government from the lieutenant governor's office. And it's trying to divide, trying to cleave the differences between Braun and Beckwith. And the thing of it is, these guys have been together. They've talked. They spent time with their wives together, and they are a team. And basically, what they're trying to do is break that team up. And they're doing that by trying to make Micah sound like the most extreme person on the planet, and that his beliefs are not going to be in line with the beliefs of Mike Braun, and that he's going to go off as a renegade. And it's simply not going to happen. Micah will come on this show in the next couple of weeks and explain that for us. All right, so you don't want to miss out on that. But I just wanted to make you aware of this because as we get closer to the election, we're also seeing polling that's coming out that may or may not be accurate. That shows that the gap is closing between the Democratic candidate for governor and the Braun team. According to the Democrats, it's about a 3-point gap, like 47% to 44%, with 8% going to the Libertarian. Now that's their polling. Other polling earlier in the month of September showed that there was about a 10-point difference there. But the thing is that it's going to be used. These polls are being used to rally the troops, to try to get the vote out, to get, to show that, hey, there's a possibility that we could win this if we all get to the polls. What that means is to recruit, get people out to the polls to vote. That's the simple bottom line. Early voting is going to be starting soon. We want to make sure that you get out there, vote early and vote often. That's what I say. All right. And again, we'll be getting more candidates on here to talk about what's going on with their campaigns in the very, very near future. But right now, we want to switch topics. And now we're joined by Lori DeVillez with Trotter House, and we want to take a little bit of time here to talk about this. What you do, first of all, at Trotter House. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Trotter House, we are a pregnancy and family resource center, so anyone is welcome. Many of our clients that come in are in deep crisis, and we meet them where they are, learn how we can help, and we have all kinds of programs. If they think they might be pregnant, we can run a pregnancy test. We can run a sonogram. If they really want to work on where they are in their life and move toward their goals, we can help them with that. We have life skills classes to help them with that. If they don't speak English, we're starting English as a second language program. We're looking at GED programs. So just meeting the needs of the community is what we're doing.
So it's coming in and meeting them where they're at.
Yes.
And that's really key. There are so many programs that people develop, right? That,
right.
And they're always good intention.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But still, we set up this program, and this is the way we're going to do things, and everybody that comes into the system has to then kind of match that program.
Right.
So you're taking the other approach, right?
Yes, and that's really what we're doing. We're developing the programs around the needs instead of making the needs fit the program. Yeah, very much.
So now, how long has Trotter House been in existence? How long have you guys been around?
Well, here in Evansville, we've been around since 2022. We actually, our grand opening was February 2nd of 2022. We were a lot of twos, easy to remember. And so we quickly outgrew the space that we started in on Morgan, and we've now moved to the east side on East Plaza Boulevard, doubled our space so that we can see more clients and do more programs. Yeah.
But before that, you were around. Let's talk about the real origins for Trotter House.
Sure. Yeah.
And let's start. There's a history lesson that comes into play here as well, right?
Yes, there's a whole lot behind it. I'm actually from Evansville, and an opportunity came open to move to Austin, Texas in 1997. And so I took that opportunity to really grow in the pregnancy center world. I actually was running the pregnancy center maternity home here in Evansville with the Christian Life Center at the time. But moved to Austin and realized right away there were great needs. 1.8 million people, one pregnancy center way north of town.
Wow.
University of Texas, 50,000 students, 5 abortion facilities. And as I looked at the lay of the land, I'm like, well, where is the church? What are we doing? And I started meeting with area people. I was new. I didn't know a whole lot of anything, really. Still not sure what I know. But started meeting with leaders, and what I was told when I would say, couldn't we offer an alternative to these abortion facilities around the I love university students. I've actually spent most of today at the University of Evansville with students. I just love the thinking, and I love the challenge of thinking and all of that. But what I heard at the time in Austin was, you'll never get by UT. There's just no way. It's the #1 party school in the nation. It's the most expensive property in Austin. It's right downtown. It's its own city within a city. Right. And so instead of giving up on my dream, which as I speak at national conferences for pregnancy centers, and I share that, it's amazing how many people will come up after the workshop and say, you know what, I had a dream, and because people told me it would never happen, I gave up on the dream. But I'm going to go back and revive that dream. So I didn't let the dream die. I got a friend of mine, and at the time I was traveling the nation, working with Dr. Dobson at Focus on the Family, because he was doing a whole lot with pregnancy centers at the time. And so I was only in Austin Sunday, Monday, because I traveled the rest of the time. And I asked a friend, would you go with me and let's pray? Let's just take it to the Lord and pray over the campus and over the Capitol. Mm-hmm. There had been no pro-life laws passed in the state of Texas since 1985. We started praying in 1997. They meet every odd year. And in 1999, 3 bills passed. And so as we began to pray and do the Jericho March and blow the trumpet and just calling on God to break down the walls, 2 new pastors came to Austin, one in North Austin, one in South Austin. And I was attending the church in North Austin, and so about 6 months after the pastor had come, he was from Georgia, he was not from Texas, talks really funny, still talks really funny. I went to meet with him, and I just said, you know, I'm in your church, and I have a vision to see a pregnancy center at the University of Texas. And instead of telling me why it would never happen, because he was new to Austin too, he said, how much would it cost? And I said, $200,000 to do it right. Mm-hmm. He said, let's do it. I'll raise the money if you'll go do it. And in 52 days, we were open.
Wow.
We call it the Nehemiah Wall. We really do. Yeah.
How often do those opportunities come up, though, where somebody just says, well, let's make this happen.
Right.
What's it going to take?
Exactly.
Let's just do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're always dealing with the overcoming the hurdles and the objections and you know, it can't be done, people. And,
right. Yeah.
And wow, I mean, God just places you with
Yeah.
the right people at the right time.
He really did. He really did. And he made it happen. We met October 19th, 2004, and we opened January 16th, 2005, getting ready to be 20 years open.
Mm-hmm.
So, and from there, we were called the Austin Pregnancy Resource Center. But after many, many years of being at West Campus, where the sorority houses and fraternity houses, all that, where the students live, which is where I wanted to be,
Right.
We noticed we weren't seeing as many people coming in. And so then we discovered there was some propaganda against us on campus. And so we were like, you know what? Because it's a national thing if you have Pregnancy Resource Center in your name, that you're a fake clinic, they say. And so we were like, well, maybe we should change our name so that we can keep the door open on campus. So we spent about 5 months. But in that process, I came across a famous missionary who lived in the 1800s. Her name was Lilias Trotter, and she gave her life for women and children. She left her very esteemed family in England to go to Algiers and minister to women and children. And when I learned her story, she wrote an autobiography called Passion for the Impossible. I'm like, I like that title. Mm-hmm. But at the end of her book, she asked the question, will my legacy live on? And I started thinking, how many in my circle even, I know I hadn't, had thought about what legacy am I leaving? What am I doing? Where do I put my time? Does it count? And so I'm like, I like this. So we found a great-great-nephew still alive in England in her family. We called him, so sweet. He still had all of her drawings and her journals. And I just said, we're wanting to kind of rebrand. And I love the story of Lilias Trotter. Could we use the name for our center? He said, tell you what, let me have a family meeting. He's an attorney of all things over there. And he called me back and he said, we met and we will give permission to use the name if you'll do 3 things. 1, put her artwork in your centers. 2, help the most vulnerable. And 3, share the gospel. I'm like, well, we can do those things. Mm-hmm. So that's where Trotter House came from. And we changed the name and started working back at the campus, and now it's wide open again. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And the idea of legacy is, that's one of those things that, for me as I get older, I think about that.
Right.
And what do I leave behind? And so what a right now I'm involved in helping somebody else with their legacy, and it's just such there's such joy in being able to do that, to be a part of what someone's going to leave behind. Yes,
and I shared with her great-great-nephew, isn't it something that only God could have connected those pieces, that she would live in the 1800s, and she would ask that question, and here we are. He said nobody else had ever, as a matter of fact, he said in England, she's not really even known anymore. But here we are, and we're bringing it back to life and carrying on her legacy. So I think that's really cool.
That really is. I
really love the name. UT student developed the logo for us, and I didn't know, I never planned to move back to Evansville. But when my parents' health needs had grown such, I actually tried to move them to Texas, but Dad said there's no way I could drive with the Texans. I drive pretty fast. So anyway, here I land back here. I help my parents, and then I started looking around, well, what am I going to do? I'm here. And I started volunteering at the USI with students, as I'm a John Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach for leadership. So I started teaching leadership out there, and then that's when the calls started coming from students. Hey, my roommate's pregnant. She has an abortion appointment. Would you meet with her? Would you help her? And I, of course. But then I started looking around, but where would I send her? And there are good organizations here, but not the full programs that Trotter House offers. And so then all the therapists and attorneys and doctors that I met with for my parents, I went back to them and said, hey, if I start a nonprofit, would you consider being on the board? And they all said yes. And so that's where Trotter House came from here in Evansville.
Wow, that's truly amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Evansville has such a strong right to life group here.
Yes.
And one of the largest fundraising banquets in the country.
Yeah.
I always miscommunicate that and say in the world.
Well, who knows? It might be.
It might be. In the universe, for all we know.
Yeah. Right.
But so I would assume that you've had good support from the community.
Oh, yeah. It's been wonderful. Very different from Austin. Austin's not as friendly to life.
Yeah. Austin is kind of an island in the middle of Texas. Yeah.
It is, yes. You have the government, you have the big universities, so yeah, you have a few more challenges.
Yeah.
They've defunded the police, and when Antifa showed up at our center there in Austin, we call 911 and nobody answers. We called 3 times. And they finally answered and said, and I shared what was happening. We had 15 people attacking our center, destroying it, digging up our bricks, graffiti, tearing down our signs. I mean, we could see it on the cameras. But the question, why was anybody getting hurt? I'm like, well, our property is. Nobody's there. So it's just a different place. Yeah. It's really a different place. But we got to have life wherever we go.
Exactly. So how do people help the Trotter?
We have a lot of ways to get involved. Our contact page on our website, there is a way to respond to the Evansville Center, and you can email. But the way you can get involved is, first of all, pray for us, because we are truly in a spiritual war for life and death. But also volunteering. We have a lot of areas we want to grow. We're open 3 days a week, and we're getting ready to open on Saturdays. But I'd love to have more volunteers to be open more days of the week. And of course, we have an upcoming banquet. So
let's talk
just to
about
come
that.
Learn about us, and also, of course, we don't receive any government funding, and so the community is what keeps us going.
So let's talk about your banquet.
I'm excited. It's October 24th. It's a Thursday night. It's at the Discovery Lodge, and it's a beautiful facility out there at Burdette Park. And we have a wonderful speaker, Dr. Christina Francis, coming.
Oh, she's great.
She spoke for Right to Life a few years ago, I believe.
Yeah, she's terrific.
Yes, and perfect for our time. She'll actually be flying in from D.C. the night before, because she's testifying at the Supreme Court on the chemical abortion and the impact on women. So, yeah. Great night to be educated, not only on the big issue of our nation and what's going on, but also on Trotter House.
Can people get tickets through the website?
Oh, yes. Okay. Contact page,
Okay.
On our events as well. Yeah.
Perfect. That'll be a great event, a great opportunity to learn more about this really vital service.
Yeah.
I mean, the need is definitely there. I think it's one of those things. I mean, we don't really think about it that much, but there's such a strong need for these services in the community. So
they really are.
And this walks, because I'll get on my soapbox for just a second here. Okay?
Sure.
But because what I always hear from people who oppose the pro-life side, they talk about, well, yes, but you should do more than for women if you're going to take that stand, and so on down the line. And they say that without realizing that there are things in place for support.
Yes.
And that there really truly is, because it's not about depriving somebody of rights. It is a loving response to the person's circumstances. And that's what I get from you, your approach of meeting people where they are.
Right.
And giving a loving response to the circumstance that they're in.
Exactly. Yeah. It's still their choice, whatever. And we tell them that. We know you have options. We just want you to know, if you choose the option that we don't support, we're still here for you. We're not going to judge them. It's an open door. We want to love them where they are. That's what Jesus did.
Right.
And then help them to wherever they want to be, and help give that sustainability to do that. I think it's real important. We tabled at the University of Texas one time, and it was kind of the same thing. We had a student come up, and we had the little babies on the table, and he picked it up, and he goes, yeah, you just talk them into keeping their baby. And, I just responded with, have you ever come to our center? Do you know what we do? And he just looked at me. He's like, no. I said, well, I would love for you to come. And I invite that to anybody. Come and see who we are. Come see what we do. And then you can decide what we're doing.
Right. And prayer is a crucial piece to this.
Yes.
And since we know some of the same people,
right?
I know that you have tremendous prayer support.
Oh yes, and that's a real blessing. We are partnered with House of Prayer Evansville. They've actually housed within our facility now, and we're actually building a huge sanctuary. That our vision is to see it full 24/7 every day of the week. And I know we'll get there. But having that support when people can be hostile, like a couple weeks ago, we had a domestic violence situation with one of our clients, and to be able to call upon the prayer warriors during a very difficult time just made it so much better than what it could have been. Yeah. That prayer support, because we're not fighting each other. It's a spiritual battle, and that's where we need to fight it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to the fundraiser.
Yes,
the banquet. That's going to be terrific. And and thank you for doing what you do. I mean, this is not, you've taken a path that is not there for the timid, right? True. It's a path that is difficult, and I just admire people who are able to put themselves out there on the front lines of an issue and stand there and not do it in a way that feeds the junk, that feeds I mean, all of the rhetoric and everything. Right. When you actually take action instead of just giving lip service to something. Right. It's a lot harder for people to say, oh, you're only in it just to take away our rights or this or that, and you're there on the front line doing it. So. And
it's been such an honor, because now that I've gotten to do it for 30 years, I've been invited to first birthday parties. I've been invited to receptions and weddings and graduations of actual babies that we know wouldn't be here today if we hadn't been that last stop before going to terminate a pregnancy. Yeah. So it's just an honor to get to see that and be a part of the lives that are now able to live their opportunities. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
Really
thank you.
Appreciate it. And appreciate the work of Trotter House. For more information, visit their website, and you can get all the details by visiting Trotter House online. And of course, be sure to pick up some tickets to go to their fundraising banquet that's coming up. Again, the date is
October 24th.
All right. Yep. So mark that on your calendar.
24. It's easy to remember.
That makes it real simple. Yes. And thank you for joining us for another episode of This Week. Really appreciate, of course, you checking us out here. Be sure that you share and like the program, that you also subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. We've got some really good shows on the way for you. Of course, it's election season, and the candidates now are banging on the door wanting to get in here to convince you to vote for them. And we'll be sharing some time with some of those candidates coming up in the weeks to come. You don't want to miss out on that. And join us again for our next time around on This Week.